Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Miguron Pagos, and I was trying to figure out why it seemed so familiar. I was like, I swear I've reviewed that before. I reviewed the Premium Pagos 2. I'd never actually reviewed the budget version. I'll save some people some time. This knife is ridiculously well priced. It's almost humorous how well priced this is, right? This is a very high quality budget knife. I will link it right down below so you guys can check it out. It does help my channel when you use those links, but that's entirely up to you. Thanks so much to Miguron for sending this in for me to take a look at. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. And please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. This is not going to be a long review. It's pretty straightforward. Let's get into it. Overall length of the Pagos coming in at 7¼ inches with a 3 point, it's about 3 1/8. Cutting edge is 3 1/16. Odd measurement. How about some size comparisons up against the Ontario Rat Model 1 and the Ontario Rat Model 2? This is very much a Rat 2 size knife in terms of length, but not in terms of thickness. We'll look at that here in a second. Up against the Demco 80 20.5. Up against the Spyderco Para 3. There we go. And finally, up against the Benchmade Bug Out. Am I going to sneeze right in the middle of a review? Come on now. Don't get after me right now. Save it for later. There we go. All right. I fought it off. How's the action on this guy? Very good. Liner lock, running on bearings, extremely smooth, extremely snappy, very easy to manipulate both with the thumb studs. Probably could have been knocked down a bit at the end, but they're all right. And then the front flipper also works perfectly. I gotta be honest, I really would have liked to use that fuller since it runs all the way down the blade, so maybe having the handle shaved down a bit right here would have been cool. But you know what? It works fine the way that it is, and you have plenty of access to the liner lock there, so we're good to go. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. This knife is surprisingly thick, and I'll tell you why. It's because we did a decently thick liners and oddly thick G10 scales. I think the G10 scales could have been thinner, and I think it would have been really cool if the liners were nested, even if it did cost a little bit more money. I honestly don't think that many people would mind, right? So it is oddly thick, but okay. We are looking at 14C28N that has been beautifully tumbled. We're looking at flat, but, you know, well-executed peel-ply textured G10. In this case, kind of a sort of sun-damaged baked bean color. Boy, it would have been funnier if you had executed that sentence better, Complex, you idiot. Sorry about that. It is a tannish color. You can also get it in black. Anyways, let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'll get out my tools. As per usual, my tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. We are looking at a T8 pivot. We are also looking at T8 hardware across the board. Yeah, T8 body screws, T8 pocket clip screws, T8 thumb studs. So there you go. Liner lock, sandwich construction, pretty easy to take apart and put back together as long as you have quality tools. You should be good to go. Let's go ahead and measure the blade stock thickness real quick before we do weight. Blade stock thickness coming in at 125? No, less, 115 thousandths on the thinner side. Alrighty. Weight. I'm gonna guess this weighs about 3.5 ounces. I mean, it would weigh less, but it's just a lot of material. Bam! One of the rare times where I'm on the dot. Sorry. RIP headphone users. Sorry about that. I just get really excited because I never guess the weight correctly. All right. Probably milled out for a little bit of weight reduction. Yeah, right there. That's nice. And your balance is going to be probably right there. Just a little ways back from the pivot, but right where you're going to put your index finger so it feels fine. The only awkwardness about this knife is that it is a little bit thick, but that's really not going to bother most people, I don't think. Honestly, the thumb stud works well enough. The blade geometry is also relatively thin, nice and smooth on that tumbled finish. Really, really nice execution. Miguron's execution on their budget knives is just absolutely incredible. To this day, the most blown away that I have ever been by a budget knife was from Miguron. I really just can't believe it. I mean, they do things like titanium milled clips on $47 knives. You heard that correctly, $47. You know, $47 on a knife like this when it's executed this well and it's 14C28N. I'm a bit less critical about things, you know, like I'm less nitpicky about stuff that I would be understandably more nitpicky about on a $100, $200, $300 knife, etc. But it's like there's a little bit of quirkiness here in the thickness, but Miguron is one of those companies that's like a half step away from making something so amazing that it's an instant evergreen, right? They are just really, really close. And, you know, funny enough, they're also very close to doing that on their premium tier, right? They've just kind of just missed the mark just by a little bit with a couple of quirky things, right? But they've always managed to make good stuff. I mean, I don't think that I've actually handled anything from Miguron where I'm like, no, I don't like this. No, I don't recommend this, right? No, everything's been great, but I just know they're right around the corner from making something so unbelievably perfect that everybody's going to remember it forever, right? This is not that knife, but this is very, very good. I have no issues whatsoever. Any of the fit and finish elements, anything like that, I have no issues. This definitely, the G10 definitely should have been thinner. The steel liners definitely should have been nested. That would have gone a long way with just the feel of it, right? I'm not saying like, oh, it's so thick, I can't carry it. No, I'm just saying it's a little bit awkward, right? Even if that would have cost him a little bit more, I think most of us would be willing to pay $5 to $10 more, you know? I mean, given the rest of the, you know, the quality overall. I love that Miguron puts their logo right there on the pivot, which looks a lot like the Majin logo from Dragon Ball Z. But yeah, it's nice that it's not on the blade. The only thing that's on the blade is 14C28N, which is fine. The thumb studs are fine. I mean, after a while, they're kind of thick out at the edge there, so they might kind of tear at your finger, but really no big deal. Very easy to reverse. Like, I think the tumbled finish looks great. I think the fuller looks great. The final cutting geometry is also great. The final apex is very, very even. Just a nice looking blade, a nice finish, right? It looks way better than the typical satin finish that we see on everything. There is a little bit of texturing to the G10, so it creates a little bit of traction there. Ergonomically, it's fine, right? You kind of feel like you're holding on to a block of G10, which is very close to what you're actually holding on to. But the edges are nicely knocked down. You can see there's chamfering there. It's all good to go. They thought about lefties. They care about lefties, right? We have a spot for lefties to mount their clips, and this knife is very easy to manipulate with the left hand as well. So that's fine. I like that. There's no lanyard hole, but who cares, right? I know some people care, right? Well, if you care, there's no lanyard thing. Sorry about that. G10 backspacer. I do like the polished liners. It creates for a nice contrast with the flat baked bean of the G10. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with this color. It just makes me think of baked beans, right? The pocket clip is great. Milled, simple clip, but it is milled titanium, which is a really nice bonus. And it's got a little ramp under here. In and out of the pocket's been fine. I like that they didn't do that weird thing where they did like a blue pivot with a gold pivot collar. That's very strange. The silver with the silver looks fine. That looks like how it should be. I don't have a problem with that. There is a stop pin located in its traditional spot. No shouldering, but it doesn't need it. Bearings, so the action is very smooth. There is no blade play, up, down, left, or right in the open position. There is no lock stick, no pivot lash, extremely smooth, extremely consistent. Miguron has action and pivot smooth. It's not just drop shuttiness, right? But it's pivot consistency, right? That's the kind of thing that a lot of us feel for. This feels like action that you would find in a much, much more expensive knife, right? It's indicative of a really smooth break-in period and just consistent action down the road, right? With probably very few pivot tweaks. Really nice detent as well. Yeah, that's just almost magnetic and very good centering. Perfect centering, in fact. What can I say here, guys? This is an easy review. This is a $47 knife. It's a little bit thick, but geez, it's a good one, right? Miguron, I feel like you guys are so close to just absolutely knocking it out of the park. This is fine. I want to see a button lock from you guys. That would be cool. I'd also like to see an ambidextrous lock from you guys. I think everything that you're doing is very, very good. And I think people are very, very happy with it. As long as you are hitting the right heat treat numbers, right? Which I don't have the proper equipment to be able to test, but many people in the community do. So that information gets out one way or another. But if your overall quality is any indication of your ability to heat treat a blade, then I would say we're good to go. This is an extremely recommendable knife. I'm going to put it in my recommended knives playlist, and I'm also going to put it in my cheap knives I like playlist. It's just good to go, right? Keep doing what you're doing. Consider I've seen a couple of budget knives that were just a little bit too thick. Shave the G10 down a bit and nest these liners, even if it costs us a little bit more money. I think most people will go for it, right? Continue to use 14C28N, 154CM on your budget stuff. Obviously experiment a little bit. Not everybody needs a stainless blade or wants a stainless blade, right? So variety is a good idea. But I think Miguron's doing a great job. I don't know that there's really anything else that I can say here. I am on board for Miguron budget knives and Miguron premium knives. I will link everything Miguron right down below, including this knife, so you guys can all check it out. That's going to be pretty much it for me today. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.